Have you ever had the strange feeling that something about life just doesn't add up? Like the world you're seeing isn't the full picture, but a version, a projection, carefully crafted to keep you distracted? If so, you're not alone. And no, you're not imagining it. Because what you're about to experience isn't entertainment. It's a revelation. You're standing at the edge of something enormous. A shift in perception. A doorway into an unseen reality that most people will never even realize exists. But somehow, you made it here. Somehow you found this video at exactly the right time. Coincidence? Not a chance. This moment is your invitation. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you something that has the power to dismantle everything you thought you knew about time, memory, energy, and even your own identity. What if I told you that your daily routine, your beliefs, even the goals you chase, were never truly your own to begin with? That you've been shaped by frequencies, by encoded systems that were built to keep your consciousness asleep? But that's changing now. Something ancient is awakening inside millions around the world. An invisible uprising of awareness. A quantum consciousness shift. The frequency is rising, and those tuned in are starting to hear the call. And that includes you. You didn't click this video by accident. You were guided here. And here's the truth no one told you. Reality is programmable. It's not solid. It's not fixed. It's fluid, malleable, moved by intention, by energy, by emotion. And if you learn to see past the illusion, everything changes. So let me ask you, have you ever seen the same numbers again and again, 1111, 333, 444, and felt a chill, like the universe was whispering your name? Have you ever had a dream that felt more real than your waking life? A moment where time bent, paused, or repeated itself? A memory that didn't fit your timeline? Or a déjà vu so intense it left you breathless? Those aren't glitches. They're signals, and they're calling you now. This video isn't just a theory. It's not a conspiracy. It's a frequency match, a direct hit to your subconscious. It's the start of your spiritual awakening, and I promise, once you've seen what I'm about to show you, you'll never trust the normal version of reality again. Behind the screens, behind the headlines, behind the thoughts you think every single day, there's a hidden structure, a matrix of belief, a web of systems that have kept humanity plugged into fear, repetition, distraction, and silence. But the veil is thinning. And now you're being offered something different, something real. So before we go deeper into this journey, take a deep breath, look around, and realize what you're seeing might not be what's actually there. The normal you've been living in, it's a mask, a broadcast. And for the first time, you're about to tune into the real signal behind it all. This is your moment. And if part of you is scared, that's okay. It means you're close. Because truth always feels uncomfortable at first, especially when you've been trained to forget it. But not anymore. Stay right here, because we're just getting started. So let me ask you something. If you've made it this far and something inside you is stirring, a whisper you can't quite explain, then this is your sign. You're not just watching, you're remembering. And if even a part of you feels like this message was meant for you, then it probably was. Right now, we're not just exchanging words through a screen. We're syncing frequencies. Something bigger is unfolding, and this video is part of it. You're part of it. And together, we're breaking the silence that's kept humanity asleep for far too long. So here's what I want you to do. If you're ready to see the invisible, if you're done pretending everything is fine, if you're willing to walk through the doorway of truth and step into the unknown, then click like right now. Not just for the algorithm, but because that small act sends a ripple into the digital field, a declaration that says, I'm here, I'm listening, I'm ready. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. Not because this is just another channel, but because this is the beginning of a conversation that's going to take you far beyond what anyone ever dared to teach you. Turn on the bell, because what's coming next isn't just a continuation, it's a revelation. And I want you to be there for every single step. Now, one more thing before we move forward. Drop a comment below with the words, I'm ready to wake up. That phrase might look simple, but in the right energy, it becomes a spiritual contract. It's your way of aligning yourself with this message. And more than that, it could be the spark someone else needs to recognize themselves in your truth. You never know who's reading these comments. Your voice matters here. Your energy is part of the equation. Every comment, every like, every share. It's not just engagement, it's frequency, it's alignment. It's how we expand this field and bring more people into the light. And we're going to need every one of us awake for what comes next. Now, let's go deeper, because the story I'm about to share with you, it's not just my story. It might be yours too. I used to walk through life on autopilot, waking, working, existing, but never truly living. Everything around me seemed scripted, like I was part of a system I never signed up for. I played the roles, repeated the routines, followed the rules. But one night, silent, still, ordinary on the surface, something shifted. It didn't come with thunder or a dramatic revelation. It came quietly, like a forgotten memory resurfacing in my chest. I felt it before I could understand it. A subtle tremor, a frequency I'd never noticed before, vibrating through the silence. That night, reality bent, just a little, but enough. At first I thought I was just tired, but then the signs kept coming. The same numbers appeared on clocks, receipts, street signs. Dreams became too real. Time felt elastic. I'd think of someone and they'd call. I'd feel something and then see it unfold. The line between thought and reality began to blur, and deep inside, a voice whispered, not with words, but with knowing, this isn't all there is. I started to question everything. Who programmed the world this way? Why did I always feel like I was meant for something more? I wasn't chasing success or validation anymore. I was chasing truth, not the kind taught in schools or written in books, but a hidden truth, buried beneath layers of noise and distraction. A spiritual call I didn't know how to answer, but couldn't ignore. Have you ever felt that? Like something inside you remembers a version of reality more real than this one? The more I leaned into that feeling, the more the illusions cracked. People began to seem different, like actors reading from a script, unaware they were part of something orchestrated. I noticed how distracted everyone was, scrolling endlessly, chasing deadlines, numbing out, and all the while I could feel it, the unseen reality just beneath the surface. A frequency shift that was subtle, but undeniable. I remember standing in a crowded room, surrounded by conversation and laughter, and feeling completely alone, not in a sad way, but in a waking way. It was like I could see the strings holding up the stage, the paint on the backdrop, the artificial light pretending to be sunlight. That was the moment I knew I couldn't go back. Once you feel that pull, once the veil begins to lift, you can't unsee it. You become the shift. And everything ordinary begins to feel hollow. My awakening wasn't instant. It wasn't fireworks or miracles. It was gradual, like water rising in a room inch by inch, until you realize you're no longer standing in the same place, until your mind, your soul, your very being has moved somewhere new. And with that shift comes the realization, we've been conditioned not to see, not to remember who we are, or what this world truly is. If you've ever woken up at 3:33 a.m. and felt something watching you, not in fear, but in calling. If you've ever stared at the stars and felt a longing you couldn't explain. If you've ever looked in the mirror and thought, this body is not the full story, then you've already begun. You're not broken. You're being called. This is the conscious shift. The hidden code that's always been embedded in your soul is beginning to activate. And as that light grows, so does your vision, the real one. Not the one filtered through expectations and programming, but the one your soul remembers from before the noise, before the veil. Have you ever felt that there's something more, something just beyond what you can touch, but real enough to burn in your chest? Let me know in the comments. I've felt it, because your voice might be the sign someone else is waiting for. But here's where everything took a deeper turn. Because once you start noticing the cracks in the surface, you can't stop seeing them. You begin to ask, why have we been taught to trust only what we can touch? Why is every part of our world designed to distract, to numb, to keep us busy, but never truly awake? That's when I started uncovering what I now know to be the matrix of belief. A construct so carefully embedded into our upbringing, our education, our media, that most people live their entire lives inside it and never even realize it exists. Imagine being born into a room with no windows, no doors, only pictures of the outside taped to the walls. You would believe the pictures are the outside. But the truth? The real spiritual dimension has always existed just beyond those painted images, hidden in the frequencies you were never taught to hear, masked by noise, blurred by fear. This is what most people miss. Because perception isn't passive, it's programmed. Our senses have been narrowed, our attention hijacked. The rules we follow, what success looks like, what to fear, who to trust, were given to us. We didn't choose them, but they've become the lens through which we see everything. And once that lens begins to crack, you realize your perception was never your own. You were taught how to see, but not how to know. And yet some people begin to feel it, a friction inside the soul, a dissonance that grows stronger each time they accept something that doesn't resonate. That's how the energy portal opens. Slowly, quietly, but inevitably, you begin catching glimpses of something more. A pattern behind the chaos, a whisper behind the noise, a strange knowing that certain events, meetings, and moments weren't coincidences. They were alignment. The veil isn't just spiritual poetry. It's a real phenomenon, a layer between conditioned thought and divine awareness. And when you start brushing up against it, whether through meditation, dreams, déjà vu, or a sense of being watched by something loving and intelligent, you're not imagining things, you're remembering. And that's the most dangerous thing to the system, because when someone remembers who they are, beyond the job title, the trauma, the roles, they can no longer be controlled. That's why the veil was put there, to prevent mass awakening, to distract the chosen ones with surface-level goals, endless scrolling, and artificial division. Because if you ever saw the truth of your being, everything would change. You'd see that the rules don't apply the way you were told. That time isn't linear. That thought is creative energy. That your intuition is more accurate than any algorithm. And that you are, in fact, part of something ancient, sacred, interconnected. You've always been a part of the greater whole. But the Matrix made you forget. But stay with me, because what happened next was even more intense. The walls of my own belief system began to collapse. Not all at once, but like dominoes, one realization at a time. I saw how every moment of my life had been gently pushing me toward this awareness. Even the pain, even the confusion, it all had meaning. And I started to feel something else too. A presence, a current, as if the universe had been watching, waiting for me to finally see it. That's when I realized awakening isn't about becoming something new. It's about remembering what you've always been. That's what they never wanted you to know. If this video is already touching something deep inside you, don't scroll away. Hit the like button now, not just for me, but because it sends a signal that this content matters. And if you know someone who's been feeling the same pull towards something deeper, send this to them now. They might not say it out loud, but they're waiting for this exact sign, because the next part is where it gets real. And then, it happened. The sky didn't split in half. The ground didn't shake. No voice thundered from above. But inside, everything collapsed. I was no longer looking at the world with the same eyes. That night, or maybe it was in a dream, maybe in between dimensions, I saw it, the light, a golden stream piercing the veil of the illusion we call reality. It wasn't just light, it was a frequency. It vibrated through me like it recognized who I really was. And I remembered. I remembered that this world was never real the way we were told. That everything, time, pain, fear, separation, was a programmed illusion. A matrix of belief designed to keep the chosen asleep. But this frequency, it was different. It didn't just reveal, it activated. Around me a crowd of silent faces, souls I somehow knew but could never name. Each one had the same expression, wonder mixed with an ancient pain. And then I heard it, not a sound but a calling, a sacred echo that said, "It's time, come home." It wasn't a place, it was a state, a dimension of consciousness where everything made sense again. The portal was open, and I was standing right at the edge. I stepped in, and instantly, the world dissolved like a fog. Every belief, every fear, every mask I wore shattered. I didn't just see light, I became it. The unified frequency flooded my soul. I saw memories that weren't mine, or maybe they were. I felt lives I hadn't lived, or perhaps I was living them all at once. In that place there was no you and I, only a collective knowing. The divine awakening had begun, and I was never going to be the same again. This wasn't religion. This wasn't New Age fantasy. It was the remembrance of a truth buried so deep within us, it took lifetimes to uncover, and now it was screaming to rise. The awakening journey is not about becoming something new. It's about remembering who you've always been. So if you're watching this, it's not by accident. You were meant to hear this. You were meant to feel this. Maybe you've been sensing it already. The pressure building, the veil thinning, the signs repeating. Maybe you felt the energy shift, seen numbers everywhere, felt a presence guiding you when you're alone. You're not crazy. You're just waking up, and the universe is watching to see what you'll do next, because now you know the portal is open. And the real question is, will you step through it? Because what you decide from this moment forward will determine whether you stay trapped in the illusion or rise with those who remember. There's no middle ground. The frequency has been sent. The call has been made. The chosen are being activated. And now it's your move. And now, here we are. Not just at the end of a video, but standing at the edge of a deeper truth that refuses to be ignored. After everything you've seen, everything you've felt, you already know this isn't just content. It's a key. And something inside you turned it. Quietly, powerfully, unmistakably. You've crossed a line in perception, and nothing will ever feel quite the same again. The illusion has cracks now. The veil is thinner. The code beneath reality is starting to show itself, not as fiction, but as memory returning from beneath layers of noise. This is the part of the journey they never talk about. The moment after awakening where everything familiar begins to feel foreign. People you once resonated with now speak a different language. Conversations feel empty. Routines lose meaning. And yet, you are more alive than ever. Because what you just experienced wasn't a story. It was a shift. A realignment with something ancient. Something vast. Something waiting patiently inside you to be remembered. You didn't stumble here by accident. You were called. That whisper you've been hearing. The dream that keeps repeating. The numbers. The synchronicities. The feeling that something big is coming. You're not imagining it. You're being prepared. Not by outside forces, but by your own soul. Your DNA remembers. Your consciousness has reconnected. And now, you're aligned with a frequency that's guiding others to do the same. The golden light you saw in your mind's eye, that wasn't imagination. That was the signature of the unified field calling you home. And the fact that you responded, that's what separates the asleep from the awakened. That's what makes you part of this new collective consciousness rising beneath the chaos of the world. You're not separate. You're not lost. You're part of something massive, a convergence. A spiritual uprising moving through timelines, across dimensions, breaking through every illusion humanity has accepted as real. But here's the truth no one will tell you. Awakening is just the beginning. What comes next is even more powerful. Because now you're not just receiving the signal, you're becoming it. You are the portal. And the way you walk, speak, create, and connect from here on out will ripple into the lives of people around you who haven't yet remembered. This is what it means to be chosen. Not above anyone else, but responsible. Responsible to stay aware, to keep listening, to keep showing up for the truth. Because reality, as you knew it, is gone. And what replaces it isn't something you find. It's something you build with every breath, every intention, every moment of alignment. This video was your initiation, but the next step is the activation. There is still more you need to see, more that has been hidden, more that explains why the world has been constructed to keep you asleep, and why it fights so hard when you start to wake up. In the next video, we will explore something that most never dare to confront, a question that breaks the illusion wide open. Why do they hide the final code? Because once you understand what the code means, what the symbols are, how the gates work, and what your role is in all of it, you'll never question your existence again. You'll understand the mission, the reason you've always felt different, the reason you never quite fit, the reason you're waking up now, at this exact time. But before you go, I want to ask something important. What was the strongest sign you've ever experienced? A number? A vision? A moment you couldn't explain but couldn't ignore? Leave it in the comments. I read every single one. And your story might be the spark someone else has been waiting for. Also type, "I am ready" below. Not just as a comment, but as a declaration. A signal to the universe. A commitment to the path. A message to others that you've joined the frequency. Like this video if it awakens something in you. Subscribe right now to stay connected to what's coming next. And share this video with someone who needs to remember what you just felt. This isn't the end. It's where it all begins.